Hi, my name is Frank Narducci. I am professor and chair of the physics department here at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. I am joined today by a fellow professor and colleague, Dr. Thomas Jamison of the Defense Analysis Department. So, welcome.
Thank you, Frank.
He has written a very fascinating book on the Pacific navies and how naval competition in the Pacific has shaped the U.S. Navy of today. So then tell us, why should today's naval leaders be interested in a historical perspective of the past?
Well, thanks, Frank. It's The Pacific's New Navies, An Ocean, Its Wars, and the Making of U.S. Sea Power, and it details the naval history of the Pacific in the 19th century, which, I'll admit, can seem a little antiquarian, but I think parallels to the present will be readily available to anyone. This is a moment of keen geopolitical competition in which empires are vying for significance and influence in the Pacific, one not so dissimilar from our present moment of great power competition. And it's also, I think more interestingly, a moment of paradigmatic technological change in which navies are attempting to adapt and adopt new industrial technologies in a way that resembles very much the 21st century perils and promise of new systems like additive manufacturing, machine learning, and artificial intelligence.
Fabulous. And you mentioned the term geopolitical, so we have some interesting geopolitics going on these days. So what is the main message, the main takeaway that makes your book a must-read, not so much necessarily for naval leaders, but broader DoD defense leaders?
It's a central proposition of this book that naval modernization and industrialization in relatively small navies disproportionately affected U.S. security debates in the late 19th century. And that's something that we should keep in mind in our present. The current great power competition with Russia and China is not just a question of bilateral or trilateral relations. Small states, medium-sized states, have a tremendous amount of agency, and we ignore that agency at our peril.
Interesting. And kind of going in the same theme, as far as the geopolitical climate of today, was there some event that you can pinpoint that says, I have to write this book, and I have to write it now?
Well, I think in many ways it was a result of the exigencies of graduate school. However, it's also in some ways autobiographical. I'm a denizen of the Pacific world. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I currently live and raise my family in Monterey, California. And I was interested in writing the Pacific into the history of American navalism in a way that I think we haven't properly appreciated to date. As a professor at the Naval Postgraduate School, I was also motivated by my students and by a drive to give them the kind of historical context that would be useful for them to understand the politics of the present.
I love how the fact that your students have motivated you, as I'm sure you motivate your students.
I hope so.
So thank you very much for your time. Before we depart, can you tell our listeners and our viewers where they can find your book?
Sure thing. It's The Pacific's New Navies, An Ocean, Its Wars, and the Making of U.S. Sea Power, and it's available via Amazon and also via Cambridge University Press.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks so much.
It's been wonderful.